AI tools make me more productive, but I feel like I'm losing my skills. So this was a post on our webdev the other day that got quite a lot of engagement actually, 132 comments, which is more than usual on this. I thought we could have a look at what people are saying. So Simmer BM said, has somebody else felt like this? I've been programming since 2015, which is almost 10 years now. I've always been able to find solutions myself, or just searching on the internet. Lately, with Copilot and some AI tool like GPT or Cloud, I just feel like I'm losing my skills. Is the trade off worth it? Um, I'll probably hold off on giving my opinion on this. So Greasy Chicken Palmer says, I never jumped on the AI train. I looked at it but felt it would make me lazy, so I never had any drive to utilize it. I'm not saying that AI tooling is bad. I'm also not saying that it's bad if people use AI companion tooling, but as a coder with about 25 years experience, it's quite a lot. In the industry, I've noticed a massive uptick in new devs that have a meltdown when there's an issue that an AI can't help, where an AI can't help them. Yeah, of course, if you're gonna, I think this is a weird environment to sort of come into coding. If you're, for like ever, coding has been something that requires a bit of work, research, thought, and now it still requires that at times, but you can just even I've become lazy. The initial thing I usually do is just whack it in ChatGPT. If it comes back with a solution, I usually check it out if it works, and then I go from there. Anyway, by the way, subscribe because we are going to be building some stuff. I will do some coding. I think it's fine in suggestive code quality and linting pipelines, but it has no place in actual local development. I mean, this is just false. I can appreciate them saying that, they're probably really a good developer, 25 years, but saying it has no place in actual local development is just not true. The gods at Stack Overflow have every answer needed. Yeah, but you could train an AI on Stack Overflow, which it probably is, because I think, Google and ChatGPT or OpenAI, whatever you want to call it, have millions of bots, if not billions of bots, um, looking at these websites. So, same. Glad there's still some sane people out there. Me too. I do a lot of programming challenge interviews and ask the candidate to turn off Copilot. Yeah, so this is where you're going to struggle if you're not used to. It's sort of like a weird climate, right? You still want people to be able to code without AI, even though there is AI. Um, as long as you can still think through a problem, because I've interviewed some people and they've claimed to have 15 years of experience and they didn't know what they were talking about, to be honest. Like not even like a simple if statement. Um, so if you're 25 years into this field, you know the patterns are more important than actual code implementation. True. Give AI the patterns and let it do the implementation. I've been doing that since Sonnet 3.5. I'm not too familiar with Sonnet 3.5. Okay, that is I've not actually used this, I won't lie. So this is the Anthropic one. Maybe I'll take a look at that. I guess we can try it. Let's go back to our article. Um, who's the Microsoft? This guy as well. He recently did a talk, didn't he? Where he just said all agents are coming for all our jobs. So I might have to watch that. Let me know if you wanna see me watch that. Different if you are coding. Say an AI agent complete a set of tasks for example, scrap a website for certain keywords, scrape, and pull that extracted data into a folder. Another agent takes the data and makes it usable. To be honest, I've done that before when something like ChatGPT is genuinely really good at least I found, was when I was working on some sort of log data and doing various machine learning things, I guess, on that log data, stuff you wanted to find. Uh, if you just present it with what the log data is going to look like, it can generate all sorts of code for you that give you the outputs you want, like create graphs, transformations, anything you want. So I just made a class. I had my log data, which we pulled in, and then I just asked ChatGPT for, okay, my log data is going to look like this. Generate this, generate this. So just create me create me a method for each one of these things I want to do, and then you can obviously tailor it a little bit. Anyway, Yeah, I've not used Copilot either, by the way. Um, I'm I just use ChatGPT for the most for my sort of first port of call. I do actually want to switch to Perplexity because you know um, I did a video recently. You can go watch it if you want. Perplexity. What I like about it is that I want to go back to this. It sort of feels more like actual coding. Um, so, for example, I was kind of looking at Godot, and I wanted to ask for some examples of GD script. But you don't have to use the output it gives you because it gives you its sources. So I was like, okay, this is cool. I can actually go back to some actual programming, but still use this AI to find what I want to do. So here's an article created by a human being, um, and we can read through this instead, and it just feels a little bit less like you're cheating if you care about that. While still, I find getting the utility of a better search than say Google, in my opinion. Although Google is supposedly going to get better again, according to them, but of course they would say that. Uh, so yeah, I ended up cancelling my Copilot subscription. It made programming less fun for me. I felt like I was no longer in control. While I was still giving the overall direction of the entire project, I felt I was really just an observer, someone else doing the actual work for the crucial part of the project, and the code quality wasn't as good either. Yeah, code quality is definitely a problem because it's not just going to always give you the same style either. That's the thing. You have to, I mean, I'm sure you can do all sorts of prompt engineering to make sure the style is consistent, but yeah, you have to just double check that stuff because otherwise you're going to have a bunch of different code all over the place. Like imagine a React front end and you've got a bunch of different components. You might have some class components because that's what ChatGPT decided to do, or your tool, or sort of functional components, and then you implement things in different ways. Yeah, so you just need to make sure that's consistent. Um, and quite often, if I'm like writing tests or something, I will make sure to copy some other test code I've got and say, can you write some tests for me, but keep it consistent with this sort of style, which is useful, of course. So there's ways around engineering around it, if you will, prompt engineering around it. Um, yeah, it's faster to code with a AI Copilot, but it sucked all the joy out of programming. So I think that's definitely a fair comment. And I've not really been doing coding videos lately, and I think I sort of feel the same. Like web tools are great, but when you can just like use an AI to make a web tool quickly, it's almost like I don't know. I think I'm going through a bit of a phase at the moment where I do feel a bit like it is sucking the joy out of it, but I think I need to get over that because I think it's just a mental barrier and you're still going to run into problems. Um, it just, yeah. I think what's happening now instead of giving up at like that first, when everyone wants to start new projects, instead of giving up straight away, you kind of get quite a lot further because you can generate quite a lot of sort of code initially. But then as your project gets more complex, then you can't just use AI for everything. You will have to think about the architecture and stuff like that. Although there is now tools that are obviously trying to get better at that too. So we'll see where this all goes. I was just doing constant non-stop code reviews for junior engineer who made frequent errors. That's the absolute worst part of this job, and in addition to that's not efficient either. Correcting bad code is a lot slower than just writing it correctly right away, and then the end result is lower quality regardless of how much you try to repair it. Probably a fair comment. So this was in regarding to this. Still use AI offline in conjunction with Google searches to find answer documentation. Yeah. I still use Cursor when I make CRUD pages that are carbon copies of other pages. Saves me a lot of time. I think it depends. For my skill gap is very high, so Copilot brings me closer to par. That's definitely going to be true. Um, I do think that comes at the expense of understanding, personally. Although, again, you can use these tools to help you understand as well. So, yeah. It's true, AI gives huge advantage to learn anything, huge advantages to learn anything, but at the same time, each second response looks like, I am sorry, you are right. I have had a lot of that. I can agree with that. there has been cases where I've known a better way to do something, and you tell your Copilot or ChatGPT in my case, and it's like, yeah, you're right, my way is worse, your way is better, which can be frustrating. And you can get stuck in these loops as well if it doesn't know how to solve your problem, where it will just like go back and try and give you the same solution it's given you before. Although I think it's gotten better with that since they've now got better memory, I guess. But I know when I started using it, it was terrible for that. What have we got? Pardon me. So, yes, I was never great about finding solutions myself, but was always decent. About 5 months ago, I was told I need to be an expert on a bunch of technologies. I'm not keen on a bunch of technologies I'm not keen on learning, my bad. They didn't like that I struggled or had questions. So one day I said, screw it, let ChatGPT solve my problem. There was more frustration, was hoping I would get a hint, but lo and behold, it provided a solution to the problem and coded it even better than me. Over the next month, I used it for all the tasks and solved everyone, just a bit of coaxing, and boss was very happy. Yeah. So they're essentially saying, yes, I agree with what you said in the post, which was, is it making you lazy and is it making you worse at coding? It is difficult. It's difficult if you just want to get something done. I mean, I happen to work in a place where AI is not really that useful. I'm not really going to say what it is. It's useful for certain parts of what I do, but for the most part, I don't use it. It's more sort of the experience of the application is a lot more useful. See at the end of my issue, blah blah blah. Yeah, I hate that my first step is asking AI now. I feel like that's sometimes how I feel. So I tried doing good old-fashioned Googling, only to try to find AI articles on my problem. You should use Perplexity. That's my plan. Let's whack that all the way over there so I can sort of... Because this is exactly how I feel, which is why I think Perplexity is quite cool, because I can look at the sources, you can still have the sort of advantages of AI, and I've really banged on about that, so... I'd recommend rather than asking AI for a solution, instead ask for the pieces to the solution you are coming up with, for example. Rather than I need a React hook that can sort this list, say something like, in X language, say JavaScript, can you give me some syntactic examples of sorting algorithms and weigh their pros and cons? In this way you still learn and you aren't just getting... Yeah, I guess they're right, but like what this comes down to is you might still be learning. So this is like, you have to go and make this decision, right? It's not necessarily the optimal way of doing it. If your goal, and this is kind of what I was going to come back to at the end, if your goal is to just get something done, you just want to feed it to an AI, and if it works, it's great. If it doesn't, just give it the error message, and usually it figures it out, with a few iterations. If you want to learn, that's entirely up to you. But that's true in anything. You can always hinder yourself, quotation marks, to learn more, to get better. So that's up to you, of course. You can still use LLMs for research. If you ask your questions more generally, like you do when Googling, if you give it a specific problem, it will crap out a solution, sure. If you generalize the problem and ask about the features of it, then you will get a good general advice instead of an answer. Yeah. You feel off about asking AI, so instead you ask a search engine. How does that change anything? Well, you're asking a person. That's the difference. A lot, actually. Looking up a problem on Stack Overflow, so other user forums. Yeah, but how do we know that people aren't just going on Stack Overflow and like answering their questions with ChatGPT? That's probably happening. Should we make a channel where we just respond to Stack Overflow questions with ChatGPT? I feel like people will notice, and Stack Overflow is quite brutal, so you'll probably get exposed quite quickly, and then you'll probably you'll get some abuse on there. But has anyone here done that? Has anyone gone on Stack Overflow and answered their questions with AI? Would be quite funny. Then stop using them. Understood. Have a nice day. Yeah, and that's not very useful. This is a they weren't asking. Sometimes when you just want someone to listen to your problem, you don't want a solution to the problem. Of course, they know the answer to the problem, right? But they're just opening up a discussion. They don't actually need uh, anything like that. They don't need that response. It doesn't add anything. So AI makes development feel more like assembly than engineering. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like stacking a bunch of things, right? I'm like falling down my chair at the moment. So same. It is ironic because I'm learning how to do more than I ever have in the past, and I would agree with that too. Like you can do so much more and learn so much more quickly. Um, and I make progress on everything quicker than I ever have. That's what I just said. And my output is higher quality. I'd probably agree with that too. Um, but I think it's good that I've got years of experience before ChatGPT, for example, because there's been many cases where I've known better. Um, and yeah, probably helps to. I do think you're a little bit of a disadvantage maybe if you're like coming into the landscape now. I feel like your brain is going to be wired differently, but ultimately maybe it doesn't matter. If the goal is just to produce things, create services, then maybe it doesn't matter. Um, Something like John von Neumann said. I love John von Neumann. Um, John John von Neumann on computers. Uh, Tell me a problem a computer can't make. A computer can't solve. God, my typing's become terrible. Let's see, where was it? Do 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 do. Stay with me. We can find it. This is because DuckDuckGo is just not very good, in my honest opinion. So let's switch to Google. Yeah, this is it really. If you tell me precisely what it is that a machine cannot do, then I can always make a machine which will do just that, right? And I may have gone off on a tangent there, but the point being is that, you know, if you give me a specific problem you need to solve, we are there with LLMs, it will solve that problem. Is it efficient? I don't know. Is it the best solution? Who knows? But will it work? Yes. And in most cases, will it work? It's good enough. You don't really. It's not until you find the edge cases where you might need a bit more thinking. Um, yeah. So let's continue with this. I don't know. I always felt that AI provides very lackluster code for me. Um, I always have to double check it. Yes. Sometimes it contains typos. True. And many times it doesn't even do what I ask it at all. I find it's really good when you give it the input and the output you want, and then it like generates the black magic in the middle that makes that out input turn into the output. So yeah, I've tried hundreds of times to get rejects from it, even simple ones that I could do myself, but I'm just feeling lazy and it does not work right. Um, I think I may have had similar issues with rejects actually, or it giving me something that was overly complex, that I simplified. Uh, yep. I found that I'm learning more. I'm using AI tools to help with ideas and how to do something. Yeah, deep inside me, it's time to find another job or change something else than dev. But keep using AI for dev like 100% of tasks. I think this is. I sometimes share the sentiment a tiny bit, but I think when you're at work, it's completely different. I feel a lot more calm. You sort of like. I think when you're just out in the wild, it's overwhelming. Uh, but when you're at work and your job is just to get a certain outcome that helps the team or client, then I don't mind. It feels good, you know. You just want to get the job done. Um, but on personal projects, yeah, sometimes I do feel a bit overwhelmed. I think because it's like, can move really fast here. I don't imagine myself doing something else really. That's how I feel. I wouldn't want to do anything else. Although I'm interested in some stuff. 3D printing maybe. That's the thing for me too. I've hated all other jobs, but I also really dislike the way software development is going. I have a new take. Since we started using AI assistants, it's harder for me to find relevant answers on Stack Overflow, GitHub, Medium, and such. It's all like the internet got it. I don't know if this is true, but the one thing I found is like search has become terrible. And I'm not a pessimist. At least I like to think I'm not. But I just feel like every search engine I use is just awful. Something has happened in the last 10 years where everything is just worse than it was. And that's like the only thing I can say. Technically, using AI tools based on what you said is not in fact making you more productive. It's allowing you to complete tasks faster. That makes you more productive. But as a result of not doing the actual coding, you're losing your skills. You're slowly becoming more and more reliant upon the AI tools, where you develop a different set of skills. That's kind of their point. Our skills are no longer the sort of problem-solving aspect, but it's sort of what someone else said earlier about stacking things together, um, like like Lego, almost. You don't need to know what's inside each piece of Lego, but you can stack them on top of each other in a sort of chain, and then you get your outcome. So it's just the skills are changing. Yeah, he's saying if you frame your problem differently, then you're not being more productive, because he's saying what you actually want to do is learn more, in which case you're not being more productive. But OP is obviously talking about um, producing things, a service, or something that someone wants to use, a game, whatever, a piece of code that does something useful. Yeah, it's more productive. Uh, of course, but I also felt this way when Google came out. See, that's quite good insight. I'm not old enough, really, I think, well, I'm not, to have been sort of part of that, if you will, where I was like, oh my god, it's so much easier now that Google's out. Um, Tools don't change the overall endpoint, they just make it easier to get to, exactly. Uh, this is what I mean. When I'm like on the internet and doing YouTube and working on projects, I feel like I've said this a couple of times already, this video, it can get a bit overwhelming. But when you're actually in a job, it's great. You're still getting paid. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're good, as long as you can communicate, and as long as you can get your job done, they're not really going to get rid of you. Um, but yeah. Yes, I lost a lot of basic things over the past 2 years because autocomplete just gives me what I want and takes the thinking away. Uh, so hard that in recent pair programming challenge I had to look up things like how to do a simple fetch request in React. Yeah, but stuff like that I always forget anyway. I've never been good at remembering the details because they've never really mattered. What you need to remember, it's not really how your brain works, at least not mine. I know how I can get the information, uh, and that it's easier to memorize that than to memorize the specific like rejects or remember specifically how to make a certain request. I've just never liked memorizing that stuff. It feels like a bit of a waste. You just really want to know the fundamentals of a language. Um, so the end of it was the kind of offered me an advanced junior position to see how I do, then back to intermediate after a trial period to see if I'm actual full of precisely why I have avoided it till now. When they say till now, that implies that they're no longer avoiding it. or well, maybe what they just mean precisely, that's why I've avoided it. I guess, that's English for you. It could mean both things, but I feel like the till now sort of implies that until now. Now I am using it. Losing the monkey coding skills. Did OP say that? I can't really remember. With AI, you write fewer lines of code, but architecture, solving business problems, and being solutions oriented are still critical. I agree, and that's the thing. I know what I want to achieve for my ticket, and an AI helps me get there. As a developer, your value isn't in how well you write if, while, or class. So, and this is kind of the point I was going to make, and he's sort of straight in, but they're talking about different things. This is the thing. He's talking about productivity, or they're talking about productivity. So, yeah, when your focus is on the solution, on the thing you're trying to build, you shouldn't really care. But I think for a lot of people, they like coding as a hobby as well. They want to get better. They want to do the coding themselves. They want to have their mechanical keyboard, like me, and all of that stuff. But yeah, AI enhances your productivity and helps you pay the bills. If you're worried about losing the skill of writing code, start a pet project using a tech stack you're unfamiliar with without AI. That's what I want to do on this channel, to be honest. We're going to use some Perplexity to build some things. I feel like this video has been going for a while. We can probably stop it there, really. I imagine most people aren't going to watch the whole thing anyway. If AI, but let me know if you want to see more of this type of stuff. I thought it was an interesting discussion. I'm just going to go back to OP. We can read it again. AI tools make me more productive, but I feel like I'm losing my skills. So that's how you can see I was saying they were talking about different things. He knows he's more productive, or they know they're more productive. They just don't care about that. Somebody else felt like this. Yeah, so really, they're not wrong. It just comes down to what you care about. And it's an interesting discussion. So yeah, let me know your thoughts below. Personally, yes, I do feel like I'm losing my skills a tiny bit, but we've also developed other skills. We've also developed the need to be able to articulate more accurately what we want from these AI tools. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're free to make your choices and do what you want, as long as, you're earning some money and you're happy. All is good. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.